Chelsea made it into the top four of the Premier League, and more importantly, they got into the Champions League positions, which was, I think, the target for Enzo Maresca at the start of the season. They did become European champions, but we'll talk about that later. We need to talk about them getting into the top four after I would say it was a tough fixture on paper, going to Forest, and they also could have been in the Champions League had they beaten Chelsea. There was a lot riding on it, but lo and behold, you guys got the job done. Uh, I so it's very interesting because there have been a lot of ups and downs this season. We've discussed that a lot. So Rohit, you take it away first. Let's talk about this game, how it went, and then obviously what top four means to Chelsea.
Yeah, Liam, I think the fact that you said we got into the top four after a long time made me just look at when we were in the top four the last time. It was 2021, 22,
Oh
right?
wow.
It's just not acceptable for a team like Chelsea, right? So this is indeed a very good news that we finished top four. We finished on 69 points. Fourth. Newcastle came in fifth, 66th. Aston Villa also on 66. There was some scandal there, but we won't talk about that. But overall, right, I think there's a very good progress from Chelsea year over year. If we look at it just from a points perspective, last year I think we got 63 points and finished sixth, right? So that's just from a quantitative perspective, we've done better. There's been improvement. There's no question about that. And of course, getting into the Champions League has all the perks that come with it. You get extra revenue. You can attract players, which we'll talk about shortly. But coming to the game, right? It's very interesting. I made some interesting points while I was watching the game. The game started off, kind of weirdly. Obviously, we were away from home and Nottingham Forest were pressing high. And unfortunately, Robert Sanchez has no confidence playing out from the back. So he kept playing it long, right? He kept playing it long. And we don't really have any big, strong center forwards to win the ball. So, Nottingham Forest kept winning it back again and again. So, that shows a very fundamental flaw in our team, right? We have a goalkeeper who's very circumspect while trying to play it out from the back. Not just him, the entire structure is circumspect, right? Even if he passes to somebody, sometimes they mess up, but Sanchez has messed up many times. And then we don't have like a center forward who can bring it down. But overall, I think defensively we did a good job. If you look at like the player ratings, I think Colwell, Adebayo, Kukurea, and Reece James, who were our back four, all of them scored above 7 on a rating scale at SofaScore, so they did really well. And so did Sanchez because he was pretty good throughout the game on the defensive aspect of it, right? So the winner came through our center back Colwell, right? That was interesting. That happened, after a set play, and Neto set it up. So we won 1-0 at the end of the day. A very close match. A couple of interesting statistical points here. Who do you think had more possession, Chelsea or Nottingham Forest? Because Chelsea is known for their possession ball, right?
So I
Spamming
lie. I
possession.
was actually looking at the stats right now. So Forest had more
Yeah.
possession.
Yeah.
They also had more shots.
They had more shots, they had higher XG, right? And Wood missed a few sitters, actually. Wood should have definitely equalized, maybe got the winner as well. So basically, when push came to shove, right, Chelsea sat back and they took advantage of, one such set piece situation. They didn't try to spam possession, right, which is kind of interesting. Kind of goes against what Maresca's so-called philosophy is, but it also shows that he has a practical side to him, right? Uh, so I think that was one of the things I wanted to talk about. So overall, a very close game, but a very, very important win, of course. The other thing that I wanted to talk about in the game is Moises Caicedo. After the game, I read that he's the first player since Cesar Azpilicueta in the 2018-19 season to start all 38 games for Chelsea.
Wow.
And given his style of play, so combative, so all action, the fact that he's been able to sustain it, not get injured, not get, sent off or suspended is commendable. And of course, he's our player of the season. One of the main reasons why we've succeeded this particular year. What do you think? What do you think of the game?
Uh, so I didn't catch the game. Let's be honest. But actually, what I would want to talk about is how important it is for Chelsea to actually get this top four position because we've seen a lot of problems in terms of getting sponsorships in. You guys did not have a shirt sponsor at the start of the season, like a main sponsor. You only got it for I think the last 3, 4 games.
Yeah.
And I did see the highlights of the game, right? And Forest had the chances. I think that's one of the things that Chelsea could have lost this game. They were slightly lucky, but then overall, I think you're right in saying that Chelsea needs to be in the Champions League. I mean, there've been so many great nights at Stamford Bridge in the Champions League, and getting that back will be good for you. And obviously, it also helps the finances because there are a lot of transfers that are being linked with Chelsea. So we'll get to that in a bit.
One kind of final thing I wanted to talk about is the importance of Reece James, right? This season, he's actually played many more matches than the previous couple of seasons combined. And he's been managed well. So to give Maresca his due, right? He's done a good job with him. And just the fact that he has so much class makes a difference, right? Because we struggled when he's not been on the pitch, right? And we've seen that throughout this season and the previous season. And it's no coincidence that Chelsea's resurgence at the end of the season also kind of coincides with Reece James being fit and being in the starting lineup. He's really good, going forward, of course, but he's also really good in defense. And this brings a level of technical proficiency, class, and now leadership as well. That's helped us tremendously. So, of course, Reece James has to be mentioned there as well.
Yeah. So I needed, like, we'll end this section by talking about one transfer that's almost done. That's a surprising one, I would say. I'm not sure what your take on this is. It's Liam Delap from, I think it's Leicester, right? Yeah, no, Ipswich,
Ipswich.
Ipswich.
Yep.
So he's coming from Ipswich, and it seems like the deal is done. I think it's 30 million, so that's not really that much. But I was just thinking, uh, you've played the entire season with one striker or Nicholas Jackson up front mostly. With Liam Delap coming in, he's not going to sit on the bench. He's probably going to push Jackson. Or does this mean it's a change in formation for Maresca and he's going to play with two strikers up front? Or how? Like, I want to know how this would work for Chelsea because there are a lot of options that you guys have. I do believe that Christopher Nkunku would be moving, so that frees up some space. But how does this transfer work out for Chelsea?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, right? And just to kind of tie it into our previous conversation, the reason why Liam Delap chose Chelsea, and Liam Delap had many suitors,
Yeah.
including Man United. The reason why he chose, one of the main reasons, is the Champions League, right? So the top four finish was
Ah.
critical. And so all Chelsea fans are pretty overjoyed with this impending signing. The reason why is Nicholas Jackson isn't your out and out number nine, right? And I was just talking about it, right? He cannot win headers, right? He's good at what he does, of course. He scored like 10 or 11 goals this season, not as many as last season, but he has some pretty gaping holes. He's not somebody who should lead the line in any case, right? He's good in certain situations, but I see him more of, somebody coming off of a center striker from the left wing, so to speak, right? I think he'd definitely be more effective in that case. And we needed somebody who's an out and out number nine, a battering ram.
Mhm.
Everything said and done, we've talked about Liverpool and we've kind of talked about Darwin Núñez. He's come in and he scored a few very crucial goals, right? He has that directness, he has that physicality, he has that ability to win headers and win possession against strong centre backs. And that is what Liam Delap will bring to the team. And we desperately needed it. And the 30 million thing is important because we are getting him for 30 million because he had that specific relegation
Close.
related release clause with him, right? The moment you sign him for 30 million, he's immediately worth 40, 45, right?
Yep.
He's a young English striker. He scored 12 goals and has had 2 assists in a Ipswich town that has been dismal this year, right? So it's really good in terms of a financial opportunity in the market, so to speak. See, I'm also thinking
Oh
like
wow. You become like
yeah,
yeah, you become like a
penny
Chelsea
pinching
management.
coin
Yeah.
counters. Yeah, yeah. But his profile also suits. And the other thing is, right, he, of course, Liam Delap comes from the Man City Academy, right?
Mm.
So now we, of course, have Cole Palmer
Yeah.
from the Man City Academy. We have Romeo Lavia from the Man City Academy. Don't forget Jadon Sancho. I don't know where he'll end up, but he's also from the Man City Academy. Of course, Enzo Maresca. Joe Shields, who's our head of recruitment, is from Man City, and now Liam Delap, right? That makes it 5 or 6 people. So I don't know. In the corporate world, it's a very known strategy, right? If you're lagging behind up an rival, you basically poach the
Coach.
important people from them and try to emulate. I mean, that can be a strategy that works. At least it's worked with Palmer for sure, right? So maybe it'll work with Liam Delap. But I think the signing is important right now because we start playing the Club World Cup in the US in like just over 2 weeks, 16th June. I don't know how these players will sustain. I feel bad for them. I really hope they don't get injured, but we needed that reinforcement. So it's good that we are almost done with getting that over the line.
So we'll end this section with that discussion. It'll be interesting to see how Liam Delap does at Chelsea, or does he become another player that you guys will sell at the end of the season, like next season for 60 million or something. But yeah, that's it for this section.